go to StarNet. And if you just want to take a screenshot of this slide, you're welcome to, but all of this stuff is on that link bank that Greg sent out. So Greg, this might be a good opportunity to put that link bank in the chat box one more time for those that just joined later. Again, that link bank is going to have all the resources for today's webinar and other valuable resources that you can use for your programming. In our STEM activity clearinghouse, this is part of StarNet, but this is where we're referencing all of our activities from. It's about 200 activities that we've curated from different places across the web that we like them because they're really good for a library setting. So that means maybe they aren't like rocket science level. You know, you're not talking about really high level stuff, or maybe the materials are really accessible for you all. So all the 4 activities we're showing today come from the STEM activity clearinghouse. If you go and you find an activity that you've done before, please leave a review. It helps all the other librarians, and don't just be nice and say, oh, I love this activity. Say what you actually learned, what you actually, how you adapted the activity. Okay, we're gonna do two poll questions because it's just gonna help us get, like, in terms of our internal marketing, we wanna figure out what social media platforms are librarians and library staff actually using. So maybe that's like, what does your library use? And then what do you use, whether professionally or personally? So Kellyanne, if you wanna launch those polls, and you could launch both of them, I think at the same time, maybe. So this first one is, again, what does your library use? So whether that's, where does your library have a page or a profile or anything like that? Or how does your library get the word out, I guess? I see some people answering in the chat box. That's good to know too. If you have, yeah, if you see the poll, you answer the poll, but you want to expand a little bit, that might be good to talk about that in the chat box.
I'm gonna go ahead and close
Yeah,
that.
go ahead and close it. Open it up. All right. So 99% of the audience uses Facebook, and then it looks like Instagram second. Well, actually Pinterest. Nope, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, YouTube. It's about what I thought it would be. Okay.
All right,
If you want,
last poll.
Yeah, last poll, and then we'll jump into the hands-on activities. Oh, Janet, you're saying right now you guys don't have a platform at all on social media. And yeah, it's different. It's like for us, we're trying to reach the library staff, but for you, your audience is very different. So I know that it might be a lot different. We've found for the most part that Facebook's the most useful in getting our audience, reaching our audience, which is you all. Oh, the poll is only letting you select one. That's okay. Choose which one you use the most, and then in the chat box, you can say some of the other ones that you use. I'm thinking it's going to be along those same lines. Next door, that's something I didn't think about. But I guess that would really be useful for like your local community. Oh, Snapchat, that's something we haven't really thought about.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and close out the
That
poll
sounds good,
there.
yeah.
Brooks?
Sounds good. And Annie, next door is like a local community kind of message board thing where people talk about what's going on like in their neighborhood. All right, so Facebook got 60% of the votes. Good to know. And then Instagram was right behind. Of course, again, I only said that for where you could select one, so it's probably a little different. All right. So we are going to move on to our first activity. And again, instead of pulling up slides and just having a screenshot there, I'm just going to show you, I'm going to screen share and show you how to pull up this first activity if it's something that you're looking for. So again, this is in the link bank. This is going to be make a CD Saturn. This is a craft activity, which is always fun. I am not the most artistic person, so it's funny to me that I'm showing people how to do a craft because, yeah, you might get a good laugh out of it. But it's a very useful activity. It's cheap. If you have leftover CDs at your library from, you know, the late 90s and early 2000s, it's a good way to repurpose those. It's a lot of things that you should already have at your library. So let me go ahead and pull that up real quick. Let's see here. All right, I should be sharing our STEM activity clearinghouse. So if you didn't see how to get there, there's a blue button that says search STEM activities. That is going to be your best bet for getting to the STEM activity clearinghouse. So here we are at the clearinghouse. And you can go through, you can browse all activities, you can go to all new items. I would recommend going straight to this Universe of Stories collection. That's going to have most of the information. And this is about 80 activities that we've chosen that either are in the Universe of Stories Summer Reading Theme Manual, or that we've picked them from a different place and we thought that they would just go along well with that. So here I am. There's 80 activities on here. I'm just going to actually do a search for CD. Pull up this first one, make a CD Saturn. But again, that Universe of Stories collection is about 80 activities that we thought would be really, really good for a library to use. All right. So I'm going to go down to the materials list. So really all you're going to need is a styrofoam ball, a CD, some glue. I would use Elmer's white glue, a toothpick, and some glitter. You can use other things like modeling clay if you want. I would recommend glitter just because it's going to be shinier. It's going to be more exciting. You can see some of these really good CD Saturns on the right banner. I am sorry to tell you guys, mine will probably not look like this that I'm about to make, but that's okay. So what we're going to do real quick, we have our other camera. So Kellyan's going to set up the, let's see. Yeah, you can click on the link bank CD Saturn, or just to show you again, if you go to StarNet Libraries, and then you click on this Search STEM Activities. And then from there, you would go to the Universe of Stories collection. And so we'll go do it again for the next activities too, and I'll show you how to access that collection. So we're gonna kind of mess around with our tech real quick. We're gonna try to get our video screen over here working. So if you'll just bear with us for about 20 seconds, that would be great.
All right, I'm going to do a sound check and see if everyone can hear us over here.
Can everybody hear Kellyann? If you would just put a yes. Okay, great.
All right. And now you should also be seeing the backdrop here with the blue as your main video screen. If not, please do navigate up there to your options and find a way to make the blue background show up for you. That's our close-up camera on our activity.
All right, so first thing we have here, this is a styrofoam ball. This is a 2-inch styrofoam ball. I've cut it in half. This is a little bit more dense of a styrofoam ball than I've used in the past, so it took a little bit more effort. It still wasn't that hard. I just used a knife to cut it in half. This is something that you would do at your library before your patrons got there. You definitely don't want to let your kiddos or even honestly older patrons, cut these styrofoam balls apart. So these are going to be our 2 halves of Saturn. I'm going to reach over here and get another. All right. So do you guys remember these CDs? I about forgot about them, but so this CD, of course, it has one side that has like a label on it, or this one's just white, and then the other side is that standard reflective coloring. So this is going to be our top. Then our 2 halves are going to go on like that. Seems pretty easy, right? Now we could just make a boring all-white Saturn, but we are going to get some glitter out. And the first thing I'm going to do, Kelly, would you grab me one of those white paper plates?
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, let's get some colors here. So we have a white We have a gold. Now, I'll be honest, I think these are actually sprinkles because it's what we had on hand. I wouldn't use sprinkles at your library. I would use glitter. So just giving you a heads up on that. And then if you see a paintbrush in there. Perfect. Okay, guys, I am honestly not a very good artist, but we are going to make do here. So I'm going to take this glue, and you don't really need a lot. You could also color this. You could paint this. You could use modeling clay, and we're going to decorate our Saturn, okay? And it does take a little bit of time to dry, so we won't get to show you that really. So we're just going to put this on top. And this is not going to be a accurate scientific representation, and I don't think you should worry about that with your kiddos either. Just let them have fun, make whatever color Saturn they want. And let's see, let's put a little more glue on here. All right, and Kellyanne, you can go ahead and look for a toothpick for me. There should be a wooden toothpick in there.
Not a problem.
All right. All right, so I know this is not the most amazing looking thing in the world, but
it's beautiful, Brett.
thank you. I need that positive reinforcement. So these are going to be our two halves, right? Now from here, with your CD, what you can do, especially if you have time, you can actually make little rings, okay? So let's do, how about our silver here? Oh, I'm so glad I brought those wet wipes. We're going to do just for time's sake, we'll do kind of one little silver or two silver rings here. All right, so you see. No, I see somebody in the chat. I fixed the CD label. Nope, I just got an old recycled CD. So this one had a white label, but a lot of them that you find will have, you know, like AOL 97 or something on it like that you can cover in glue. Or you could get just a purely blank CD. So maybe, you know, maybe we'll do a little bit more. I'm feeling a little artistic here. We'll do some gold too. All right. So the next step here, we're going to attach our CD with our Saturn now. So go ahead and put some glue right here. This might be a good chance. If you have better glue, like Gorilla Glue or something, you could use that. I know we have some, but I can just see myself getting my hands stuck to this and doing the webinar with a CD stuck to my hands. And then on the back side, I'm doing the same thing. So you could even decorate the bottom if you had time, because we're on a webinar. I'll probably not do that. Oh, here we go. So stick your paper clip in here. And let's see. So the glue is going to help it stay firm, but this, toothpick is going to be what really keeps it in there. All right. Just a work of art right here. And then, ooh, and ah. So here's the fun part. Okay, and let's pretend that we've decorated. We've done a lot more rings with a lot more glitter. Oh, I see somebody. Okay, I'm going to hold that question. But what you can do to make this really cool, so I have one of these hanging in my office. You stick a paper clip in here, and I think, Kellyanne, there might be a paper clip in there. But the key is Saturn does not sit perfectly up and down like this. Saturn tilts at about a 27-degree angle. So you can stick a little paper clip about 1 inch to the side with a little loop on it, and that way, that's fine. So stick a paper clip in a little to the side, and that way you're going to have it tilt at a 27-degree angle, and it's going to be more like Saturn's actual tilt. Ah, very nice. I'll show you how to do this real quick. So something like, not directly on top, maybe do it about, yeah, ½ an inch to the side. And then from here, you can hang it from a string, you can hang it by your door, you can hang it you know, or have your patrons hang it somewhere at their home. And I'll show, oh, you got the wet wipe out, thank you. It got messy over here. So we'll take just a minute to transition back to our normal view. Or actually, Kelly, why don't you just leave this one on, and I'll just open this other camera back up too real quick. Okay, if I talk once or, yeah, there we go. Okay, so you can see my beautiful craft here. There we go. So somebody asked a really great question. They said, is there more information if we want to talk about Saturn to the kiddos when we're doing this activity? And the answer in short is yes, there is a ton of information. On the Clearinghouse itself, there is, we add additional resources. So we add like a helpful book that might be good to use with that, or we'll add a, an external website or some helpful videos from YouTube. I'm not sure, to be honest, what's on Make a CD Saturn right now. But if you're looking for other additional information, please feel free to email me. I would love to shoot you what we have. We did this activity first because some members of our organization, Space Science Institute, were working on the Cassini imaging team. So we did a webinar all about Cassini and its crash landing, its purposeful crash landing. It wasn't an accident. Last September, or gosh, 2 Septembers ago. And so anyway, that's we had some local connections here at our organization. But anyway, Make a CD Saturn, super easy. Doesn't require too much, maybe about 10, 15, 20 minutes beforehand. And all the materials are pretty easy to find. All right. Our next activity, oh, this is fun. This is one that I didn't have much experience with, but me and Kellyanne had fun kind of messing around trying to figure out how to do it. And I think part of it with you guys, part of this activity would be working with your patrons and making it work, okay? So it's like kind of a craft, kind of a make and take, but it requires a little bit of tinkering, which is actually kind of fun. Oh, that's a great idea. Maybe color glue with food coloring and mix in glitter and let the kids paint the colored glitter glue on the styrofoam. That's a great idea. So you make the mixture beforehand so they're not doing what I was doing and pouring the glitter on there. That's a really good idea. All right. So let's see. I should still be on. Kellyanne, are you seeing my a website, or what are you seeing right now?
I am actually still seeing that Elmo.
Okay. We used permanent markers to make the swirls first. Very nice. So Linda, if you have any other suggestions for everybody else, that would be great. Just because it's an activity I've done 2 or 3 times, but if you've done it in the library with 20 kids or something like that, you have a little bit more experience, I would say. Okay, so let's see. We should be back to our Clearinghouse homepage.
Yes.
All right. So for whoever was asking how to navigate, maybe I went through that a little bit fast. On our Clearinghouse homepage, that's clearinghouse.starnetlibraries.org, you'll go down to a universe of stories, this collection down here. And then from there, you can find these 80 activities that we specifically pulled out. I should say 80 and growing, that we specifically pulled out for this content area. So you can click show all if you want to just see all of them. For the sake of time, I'm just going to do a search. Okay, so this one's fun. And if you leave this webinar and you're like, I saw them do star power, but I have no idea how to do it, there's actually a really good YouTube video that you can do as well. We'll do our best to show you how to do this in this well-lit room, but you do need a dark room. And it's all about constellations and kind of making a model of a constellation, if you will. So you're making a little projector box using a flashlight, a box, a few other odds and ends. Let me go ahead and open the activity. And yeah, it's a little PDF, sorry. Kellyanne, can you see the PDF there?
No, it is still on your browser.
Okay. Here we go. So you'll just need like a shoebox. Really, we found a long shoebox wasn't the best thing. We actually kind of like had more success making this box shorter instead of longer.
Like this.
Yes. For everybody else that orders a lot of beakers, and you get a lot of boxes like these that contain those beakers, which probably isn't everybody, but they're good for that. So a little index card, and that's going to be helpful for making your constellation. Tape, scissors, push pins. The push pins will be pretty important. And then a single bulb LED keychain light. I didn't take that seriously, and I was like, what do you mean a single bulb? That doesn't matter. And when we were shining through our regular LED flashlights, it was just reflecting the pattern of those flashlights. Anyway, pay attention to that. A camera or a phone flashlight works pretty well for this too. We'll show you in just a minute. And then, yeah, this is an optional book or website that contains drawings of constellations, construction paper, glue, et cetera, et cetera. So you will need something to inspire you to make a constellation. To give you a quick wrap up or a quick roundup, basically you make a box, you make one hole for a flashlight or for that single LED flashlight, and the other side is going to be your projection. Okay, so when you shine the flashlight through in a dark room, it's going to project that light in just those tiny little holes, just like it's a constellation. Again, we've just done this in this room, some light coming in. It looked pretty good, but I think if you had a really dark room and a bunch of excited kids, this would be a really great activity to talk about constellations. So for your programming, constellations are really something that you can, tie into cultural, historical, social things, and it's just it's an easy jumping point maybe for a library staff that's like, I don't want to get too hard into the science, but I do want to talk about some aspects of astronomy and some aspects of space science. So we actually have a book, and I'll go grab it and show you. This is a great constellation tie-in. I don't know if anybody's familiar with it, by H.A. Ray. It's called Find the Constellations. And I'm not going to go through it or anything like that, but if you're looking for a book that you could pick a little bit to read for like a story time or something like that, this would be a really good choice. Again, that's H.A. Ray, Find the Constellations. If you're not doing a book and you need some inspiration for a constellation, there's a few different websites that I would recommend. So let's see, I hope I put them on the link bank. One of them is Google Sky. So I like using Google Sky. It's pretty easy to use. Let me see if I can just pull it up real quick for you all. Yeah, so right, it's just right there in your search bar. So it just shows you the night sky. You can input where you are. You can, get a little bit more information about where your location is. So we see our constellations down here. I click on them, I zoom out, and I have a big old group of constellations. So, yeah, so anyway, that'll give you some basis for it. But you know what, let's go ahead and turn over to Kellyanne and see kind of what she's working on over there and what her star power box looks like. So Kellyanne, I'm gonna stop my video over here. I'm gonna mute myself.
All right, so we've got over here a couple of boxes for you all.
And I see somebody saying Skywalk or Skywalker, right? That's a really good website that you can use as well.
Excellent. And starts. Yeah, exactly. Stephanie's jumping in with those are tested favorites there with some free download options. Thanks, Stephanie. So where would you like to begin, Brooks, for you?
Where do we want to begin? Okay, so I'll show you the basic instruction. This is just as nice as yours looks. I don't even know what it was beforehand, right? Is it a Kleenex box?
Here we have a Kleenex box for this one.
Yeah.
And this is a completed model that we'll show you. I just wanted to give you a sense of, I was trying to channel my inner middle school girl because this activity is really designed to engage girls at the middle school grade years. There's a show called Sci Girls with an episode that goes with it and lots of clips that you can use and incorporate in your program. But I was just trying to channel that, and so I took some wrapping paper and just decorated a little bit. Got the constellation that's on the end of my little projector here so that I can keep track of it. I mean, you can imagine this being something that you'd decorate with stickers and markers and all sorts of things, transforming a Kleenex box into something that helps the girls and boys and anyone else learn about constellations.
Wonderful. All right, so yeah, my box, what I did with these black sheets, I just covered up any spots that might let light in, so where like the packaging met. Covered that up with a black sheet, taped it up. Mine is like the bare bones version. Tape this one up here. Can I pan out a little bit? Unfortunately not. This thing's a kind of a weird camera, but I'll try to come out a little bit. And then I cut a hole in here, right? Put a little piece of black marking over it. And then on the opposite side of the hole, you know, this kind of reminds me of daylight in a bottle, that activity a little bit.
Absolutely.
On the opposite side of the hole, let's see if I can make it a little bit better for you. That'll work for now. On the opposite side of the hole is where you will punch your constellations, okay? So Kellyanne has already punched her constellations. We'll let hers be the good one in case mine is, oh, nice, good idea. So we're trying to solve our...
Here, we're going to elevate for you.
Yeah.
We're using some astronomy books here.
Yeah, I think that'll work. Okay, so again, viewing hole on this side, and then where we're going to punch our holes to make our constellation on this side. So I think I have a sheet with some constellations in there. Thank you. And I printed these out from stardate.org, another good website. Another good website I used is thoughtco.com, which I wouldn't normally just go around recommending websites, but I actually used to write articles for them. So I know they're good. I know they're, it's worthwhile. So, and Kellyanne, you were saying instead of doing it like this, right? You're going to flip it over, invert it. Yeah. Let's see.
You can use either a template like this, or you can have the participants just punch out on a freehand something and then punch out on this as their template.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to use that as a template. And Brooks, I see you're looking for your push pin there.
I am.
Here we go. So this is, again, you know, this was intended for that sort of middle school.
Let myself know where the holes are.
Oh, good idea. So this does require a push pin or something pretty sharp because you got to push through that cardboard. So
yeah, I don't know if I would do this with much younger than.
Yeah, it is very good for those.
Fourth or fifth maybe would be like the youngest I might do this for. But,
yeah, definitely.
Okay. So let's see. We might get a bonus hole. That's okay. All right. You do want these to be somewhat big. You don't want them to be little small, tiny holes, because they do need to let light in. So maybe when you push them in, kind of work it around a little bit. You'd also want to be cognizant of not choosing a material that's way too thick. All right. So I don't know. It looks like we got holes in there. It seems like it
Right.
should work. Knock on wood.
And if you just to pause, I want to reemphasize that point of that you have to flip the constellation to be flip side because you're projecting through. So if you do it just the regular way, like Brooks flipped it over, right? If you do it this regular way, then when you shine it on the wall, the constellation will be backwards. So you flip it on this part so that when it projects, it's the right way forward. And I think we can show that to you.
Let's try, yeah. Give me a couple lights.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So everybody bear with us because we're having to move some cameras around. We're going to try to show you what this looks like. No promises or anything like that. So just bear with us for a minute. Let's see. You see Kellyanne's under here. Let me see if I can. Ah.
It looks just like Scorpius.
Just like Scorpius.
You can see there the kind of the sort of offset diamond there shape of the near the top of Scorpius, and then the rest of the pattern kind of arcs around. And I picked this particular pattern because it is up and noticeable in July and August. And it's also one of the constellation that maps you toward the center of our galaxy. So right between the tail of Scorpius and Sagittarius, the teapot, is the center of our Milky Way galaxy. So it's a worthwhile one to know to help you navigate the night sky.
Very cool. Can we try mine real quick?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, no promises.
Sorry about the blinding light there. Ooh, like Brooks said, we're thinking that modifying this with a shorter box is the way to go.
It's kind of, again, guys, it's hard to see. So I hate to say trust us, especially after I've told you I'm bad at crafts already, but it is pretty cool. Yeah, I think that would be a really fun activity for someone in that like 10 to 14 age range. Yeah. Very cool.
All right, we'll come back to see if you got any questions there in the chat.
Oh, Stephanie's got a good recommendation there.
All right. Forgive us when we get your view all shaken around here.
And
Paula, we'd love it if you found your way home. There's another activity we should definitely show
and actually, let's just leave it here, and I'll go ahead and jump right into
let's do it.
Yeah, the sundial. So this is we're just gonna we're gonna go real quick with this one. It's a very simple activity, and I thought this would be perfect for a make and take. So if you wanted to have your patrons make something at your library and then take it home to really work with it. I know it seems like everybody's, we're trying to get content home into the homes. You can do so much at the library, but if you can't do it in the home, then it's not quite as good. So I'm going to show you all this activity, and then we'll come back to it. All right. So this is Make a Sundial, and it's just as easy as you think it is. On our website, and I'll show you how to access that. You will find this template. It gives you instructions for a whole set of curriculum about shadows and the sun moving. I know in a library you might not necessarily have time for that, especially if it's like a 10-minute program or something like that. So this sundial handout is a great way to bring like a take-home activity. So basically, you're going to make your own sundial using a paper plate. You're going to send it home with your patrons for them to calibrate, if you will. This handout that it comes with, it's a little complicated. When you get to the activity, you actually have to scroll down to get this specific handout. It's going to be for latitudes around 40 degrees. There's another one for latitudes around 30 degrees if you're further down south. But just find whichever one you're closest to. So I know here in Boulder, we're right at the 40th latitude. Exactly. Yeah, I think there's like a street that runs right on the 40th latitude. But in Atlanta, it's closer to the 30th latitude. So just know where you are. There's easy ways to find out, obviously, what latitude you are. So take this paper plate. The instructions say to just put it right on the paper plate at the very edge. I don't think the instructions realize that most paper plates have this lip, So no paper plates that I've ever seen are just completely flat and circular. That would not be a very good plate. So I've cut out my sundial. Oh man, there's a name for this. Do you know the name for this? It's a GNO.
A gnome.
A gnome. Okay, thank you.
Not the cute little kind that runs around in your garden.
And then it just says fold this section, then glue the triangle to the paper plate. So easy enough. Famous last words, right? So I think you could probably get away with tape too. But the key here is that your patrons are going to have a chance to go home and really explore this. I would almost encourage you, in the spirit of engineering and figuring it out, to not answer all their questions about it, even if you know how to do it pretty well, to just kind of let them figure it out and let them calibrate. And then if you do I would recommend having a few extra one of these handouts at your program just in case somebody messes it up or something like that. Oh, that's a great question. Or is that you? Oh, Killian, that's you that put that in there.
Yes.
All right, so you're going to do the long edge out. So as your patrons go home, they're going to need to keep it in the same spot, obviously. And it's just going to be a matter of marking the time. So as it hits the hour, hitting that, marking that different hour, marking a line at the edge of a shadow. Thank you. I wonder if we could get a shadow. I think we're being ambitious here. I don't know. Oh, yeah. Okay, great. So let's say it's 2:45 now. And of course, this is not accurate because we were using a phone and we're inside. I would draw a line right here, right, 2:45. So yeah, pretty simple, pretty easy. Like I said, let's see. Oh yeah, remind them that it is better to print the handout on cardstock to help it stay rigid if there is humidity in your area. Very good suggestion, Melinda. This is cardstock. I would say even this is like a little floppy. So I would say the thicker paper, the better. Great. All right, so Kelly and I am going to go back to the other camera, and I'm going to introduce the other activity. It's going to be our last activity, and after this, we'll do a Q&A with whatever time that we have. All right, everybody, can you hear me? Okay, great, thanks. So our last activity, so let's see, we just said craft, we said make and take, and we said engineering activities. And we kind of grouped these together because they're not necessarily true hardcore space science activities. You know, they kind of get into some different areas, and I thought they maybe would be more accessible to a library. So maybe you've done an engineering design challenge, and that seems, you know, easy and fun to you. Something with, you know, dealing with, yeah, again, like space plasma physics or the heliophysics, that sounds very complicated and scary. It's not, but I do certainly understand that feeling. So the last activity that we're going to do is an engineering activity. And there's some variations on this. I'm sure a lot of you have either done as a kiddo or as a library facilitator, you've done an egg drop before. And there are some really cool egg drop activities, and we have 2 of them on the Clearinghouse. One is called Eggstronaut Drop, and the other is called Soft Landing Challenge. And they're variations. They're not the same by any means. They have good how-to videos, really good classic activities, and you can tie it into space science, of course. But I like Touchdown because it's a little bit different, and it just, I don't know, it's a nice take on the whole soft landing, egg drop kind of thing, and it deals, you know, with Apollo astronauts. So let me pull that up real quick. And I'll show you how to navigate there too. And I'll also mention to you all that, yeah, the last webinar we did, it was a big resource overview. So the reason I'm kind of skipping through like how to navigate the Clearinghouse and all the StarNet webinars is because that is readily available to you just through YouTube, on our YouTube channel or on our webinar channel. So share. Okay, so from here, once again, I'm going to hit search STEM activities. I'm going to pull up our activities here, and I'm going to go down to a universe of stories. Please explore all the other wonderful activities too. And Kellyanne, are you getting my website?
Yes.
Okay, great. So again, we can search through, we can see all these cool activities, you know, bring you in for the next few webinars, which we'll be covering some of these. And so Touchdown is the one that we're going to focus on. And this is directly from NASA. All right. So we see here our materials list. It's not a very materials intensive thing. Really, the only thing you might have to go by is marshmallows. So we need 1 piece of stiff cardboard. I will say less is more with this. You're going to need a smaller piece of cardboard, and I'll go back over this on the other camera. But the parameters here, so let me take a step back. You're giving them an engineering design challenge, and that design challenge is to put a cup on a small piece of cardboard, put a big marshmallow in the cup, and design something that when you drop it from a specified distance, it will not fall. Oh, perfect. So let's see. It's tricky though, because the cups they tell you to use are a bit too big, and the marshmallow will just stay in there. If anybody came to the Colorado or New Mexico workshop, you know what I'm talking about. So what I've done with these cups, I got a standard like mini Starbucks catering cup, and I cut it in half. I cut it to where it's just barely bigger than the marshmallow itself. So I'll show you, and of course it's going to backfire on me, and the marshmallow is just going to stay right in here. But the objective, you will create these little landers, okay? And I'll show you how to do that. It's really easy. The objective is to have a marshmallow not fall out when you drop it. Of course it stayed in. Let me try one more time from a different distance. Even with a shallow cup. So you're going to have to experiment with this. Maybe you get a small Dixie cup and you make it a little bit smaller, or maybe you find a different something that's going to bounce out a little bit more than this marshmallow. Let me try one more time. Let's use a styrofoam ball. How about that? So this happened at the last 2 workshops. We had these big cups and we were dropping them. We also had these big cardboard landing pads. And so they were creating drag, and they were kind of just gently dropping down. Not enough weight there. Let me see. I know you guys can't see this anyway, but it bounced out and right back in. Anyway, guys, you're going to have to experiment a little bit to find the right size cups. I would say keep it shallow, and then keep a standard distance that you're dropping it. The higher you drop it, at some point, it's going to hit about the same speed, but you need to set up those parameters for your patrons. Let me just try this one more time. Okay. All right. So that's our official perimeter, Kelly, and it's going to be about 3.5 feet, aka from my nose to the table. And our engineering design challenge is to use a specific set of materials to create a lander where when we drop this, it's more soft and it doesn't bounce this ball right out. Okay, so the idea is that Apollo landers, those first few missions, they were really nervous about what was going to be like landing on the surface. Was it going to be really soft sediment? So they had to develop these really nice landing mechanisms. So Kellyanne, we are going to need, or do you already have everything out?
I sure do.
Okay, so it's going to be, and you can change these parameters too. If you have older patrons, you might want to limit their materials. If you have younger patrons, you might want to give them easier materials. And we'll do this real quick. We're running a little low on time, but we're going to design a landing system using index cards, 10 miniature marshmallows, 3 rubber bands, and 8 plastic straws. Again, you can mess with those parameters depending on your audience's age range and skill set, but you do want to make sure everybody gets the same thing. I'm just going to try this one more time to make sure. Ooh, all right, there we go. So we will go over to our other camera. Oh, sorry, I was sharing the whole camera. We should be good now, though. I'm going to stop my video. Kellyanne, if you want to open up yours.
All right, so Carolyn, if you could just hop in there and let us know, are you seeing the blue background feed now?
All right, so yeah, if you were just stuck on the materials page, all you missed was me dropping our lander and having the ball bounce out. So you can use marshmallows, but what I was saying is you want to experiment, and if you have a tall cup, you're going to need something other than a marshmallow because your marshmallow is just going to stick there. But really,
everybody had great suggestions in chat for mixing it up and adding different materials.
Ping pong balls work well?
Yeah.
Okay, so Kellyanne, are we going to work on this together? What do you think?
Let's work on it together.
Collaboration over competition.
All right, so we want to use some straws, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think we might want to use, I was thinking something like this. What are your ideas, Brooks?
So, granted, I've seen a bunch of librarians do this at the conferences, so it's not quite as big. They've made these little, like, springs.
Ooh, springs. Let's do it.
So, I think we limited ourselves to, what do we do, 4 index cards?
Let's do 4.
Okay, I think that's more in line with our age level.
That sounds good.
So we'll make some springs here. And guys, the key with these engineering design process activities is to give people enough time to redesign. You want to encourage failure.
What we're not doing here by putting it at the end of the webinar.
Yeah, exactly. The opposite of what we're doing now. Right.
And Greg, I see a question there about the link for the challenge. If you could drop that in the chat, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, and Greg, you might drop the link bank in one more time just in case anybody missed it the first time around.
Yes, the chat has been very busy. Thank you all for chiming in with your thoughts.
Yeah, we've had, I'll just say, kind of a not related to the activity, but we've had so many people interested in these webinars. We increased our capacity, so we should be good for the next few webinars. But it's so exciting to see everybody interested in the 2019 summer reading theme. We realized our 100 participant rooms were not going to cut it. All right, I've got my spring on. So it seems important, like, you may go ahead and attach this one?
Please, I'll fold one more. Let's see what we can get the fit on there.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, does anybody have any other ideas for us? We're doing some springs here. We've got straws.
Yeah, so we folded up these index cards. Maybe it'll just, ooh, it's not promising.
Oh, should we try it where it is?
No, actually, what if we attach
that
those?
Sounds good. What do you guys think? Some straws to brace? Let's try it. Got some tape here.
Okay. Let's see.
Linda and Charlene are going for it with us here. They're saying go for the straws.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, I don't want to inhibit the bounciness of the springs.
We want full spring capacity here.
Full spring capacity. Whew.
All right. Sorry, I should have mentioned this. Do not allow patrons to cover the top of their. Oh, somebody's saying the springs may actually toss your ball out with more force. That's a good point.
Oh. Where were you at the beginning of this? I'm just kidding.
We're failing so you can learn. Or
that's right. That's right.
Oh, this looks good though. Let's see. Okay. Oh man. Okay, you know what? We'll try. We're running out of time, so let's just try it. Let's see. This is
3, 2, 1. Oh, I think you know what? We made it even.
That person was right. Yeah, that person was. We definitely made it right. Make sure that nobody covers the top. That's the one parameter. You don't want to have anybody covering the top. And people will try to get smart with it. They're like, well, I didn't put a cover on it, but I put a rubber band on it. So yeah, make sure nothing goes up around there. You know, Kellyanne, I know we say redesign is the most important thing, but I kind of want to get to some questions. So I think we'll have to.
I think we'll abandon that for now.
Yeah, just let our Apollo astronauts.
You know what we're all doing after this webinar, right? We're going to fix that.
All right, everybody. I did want to really quickly show you about the upcoming webinars. I know we're running past time, but I just want to show you, we just launched this new webinar. It'll be next week, 6 days from now on Wednesday.
Yes.
So I wanted everybody to get their chance to sign up. We did increase our room capacity, so everybody should be able to sign up without problem. So, share this touchdown activity, go back to our Summer of Space. So back to starnetlibraries.org, our main page. And from here, you want to go to resources and webinars. Granted, you guys probably know this because you signed up for this webinar, but and these are our next 3 webinars coming up. Of course, we're doing this one. This Infiniscope and StarNet webinar is actually designed to kind of bring teachers and library staff together. So it's a good way if you're a library staff and you want to connect with the teacher, vice versa. So it's a little bit different time. It's at 4:30 Mountain Time, which is not normally, we usually do them at 1 or 2, but it's to accommodate those teachers' schedules. And we're going to be having our friend Jessica to join us to talk about the Infiniscope. Really excited about that one, and we just launched it, so hoping we can get a good crowd for that. And then this one, planning a night sky viewing at your library, February 20th. That'll be Kellyanne and I, and we're going to talk, oh, I'm so excited about that one, because we're going to talk all about how you can partner with groups like Solar System Ambassadors and the Night Sky Network to have a local astronomy club come out, do a night sky viewing, and then we'll be giving you some tips for cool activities you can do along with the night sky viewing. You've just developed this whole PDF of
tips and tricks. It's the best way to engage teens and adults that I've ever seen in 20+ years of doing this sorts of education work. So definitely recommend hanging out with us to see if you can make that work in your own library.
Yeah. Looking at a telescope is really cool.
Oh,
I don't think people realize how awesome it is. And then the last one that we have announced for now, but more to come soon. On March 7th, we'll be doing talking all about scale activities and ways that you can use scale activities, talking about the distance between planets in the solar system, talking about the difference in sizes. There's a lot of misconceptions out there, and you can really kind of blow your patrons' minds by actually talking about, you know, how far are we really from the sun? So those are the next 4 webinars coming up. That is in the link bank as well. Also, Greg, would you mind putting the SurveyMonkey link in the chat box? It's just the standard StarNet one. When I close out of the webinar, you will be redirected to a survey. It has a certificate of attendance in there. If you need any of this information or anything from me, just email me. So let me get to some questions. I know we've got quite a few of them. Easiest one, what was the second activity my computer decided to reboot? That was going to be star power. And this webinar is recorded.
It is recorded?
Okay, it is recorded. It's like, did I forget to hit record? And it'll be uploaded later so you can watch. If we miss the next webinars, will the other ones be? Yeah, all the webinars are recorded. And usually, we didn't have it set up this time, but we'll usually live stream to YouTube, so it's available right afterwards. I think this one will take a little bit more turnaround. Sorry, Greg. So I have one person in the Q&A. Oh, this is great. What are some good space-themed books for story time?
Oh, that's such a great question. So we have been trying to keep on top of book lists for quite a while here. In the Clearinghouse, there are ways for you, please help us suggest books. What we found is also a link to those activities. We do have a wiki that lists lots of books. We're in the process of updating that wiki. We will keep adding books there, but check it out. In the meantime, you might want to also check out the Planetary Society with Emily, Dr. Emily, and then L is the last name, but she does a fabulous job reviewing books every year, so I recommend checking that as well. She's got lots of read aloud books, so we can get a link up for that for the next webinar, how we do that.
Yeah,
books.
Sounds good. So Danielle is suggesting, and I haven't read this before, but Margaret and the Moon, How Margaret Hamilton Saved the First Lunar Landing book.
Absolutely, that's
cool.
a good one.
A is for astronaut. Angie, yes. Angie says, I've not looked at StarNet yet. Is there any program suggestions there? Yes, definitely program suggestions.
That's what we're all about.
Yeah, for sure. And you might have to, if you're looking for something specific, you might want to email me and I can point you in the right direction. You know, we did like 15 to 20 webinars last year, so some of the information is there. It's just you got to know which webinar to go check out. So Angie, I would say depending on what you're looking for, yeah, StarNet's, we have a lot of programming ideas. We have different events you can center programming around. And just, I would recommend shooting me an email more specifically what you're looking for, and I can point you in the right direction.
And please do sign up for our newsletter. Greg does a fabulous job curating a list of go-to resources at least once a month, usually twice a month. So please do sign up for our newsletter. It's free.
Yeah. All right, let me go back a little bit. Oh, this is a good question. Something about, do you have activities for the other planets? They wanted to know if we had an activity for Venus.
Oh, Venus, that's a good one.
Maybe something with like extreme temperatures or like volcanic activity, or.
Oh, that's a great challenge. I think we will have to go comb through the Clearinghouse or sit through some NASA resources and see if we can find anything. Nothing's jumping to my mind. There's quite a bit of resources on the moon and Jupiter. Yeah, our sun.
Yeah, and there's, you know, scale activities we can talk about the distance, and that we'll be doing in a webinar later. Specifically for Venus, though, I don't know. That's what you've gotten us thinking. Let's see. Oh yeah, Melissa's suggesting and Melissa, you sent that just to me. Would you mind resending that to everybody, all panelists and attendees under the to field? But Melissa is suggesting NASA has story time in space, where an astronaut recorded themselves reading kids' books aloud while in space. It's a really cool program. Yeah. And I'm so sorry if you've asked a question at some point. It's going to be pretty buried, so we would appreciate if you put it back in the either the chat box is okay, but the Q&A function is really, really good.
There's just a lot of comments I think we're getting caught up in the number. But Stephanie, if there's anything that you're seeing, please let us know.
Yeah. I'm assuming you guys are probably real knee deep in the planning aspect of, you know, we've been working to get you guys prepped, but now it's like go time. It's mid-January. You only got 5 months left to get all the program planning.
Exciting.
Oh, okay. Well, good. Oh, the certificate is dated 12/18/2018. That sounds like I gave you the old certificate. I'm going to put my email in one more time. I am happy to send you the updated certificate. Or Greg, if you want to put the certificate in the chat box right now, if you have that link readily available. Well, good. Carolyn, I'm glad to hear that. All right. Well, Kellyanne, I think we'll wrap things up here. Thank you for joining us. We hope to see you January 23rd, and then mid-March or mid-February and early March as well. So yeah, looking forward to seeing you all, and happy prepping for summer 2019.
And see you online.
Bye.